What's in the box?
Hi, this is Jay from Out of Space Games. Today we're going to be unboxing Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing from WizKids Games. D&D Attack Wing is the third game that uses the flight path system. It was originally used in X-Wing Miniatures game from Fantasy Flight Games, and then implemented in Star Trek Attack Wing, also from WizKids. So the game has been out for 6 months as of this recording, so why pick it up and unbox it now? So one reason we've waited so long to pick up the game is kind of let the releases come, see how the gameplay has progressed and how balanced it is and how things work out. It lends itself well to the smaller skirmish battles. You don't need a swarm of ships or a big cluster of them, maybe one dragon, one other unit, and itself is generally enough to build an army in the recommended 120 point build. Now obviously if you're going 200 points or more, that becomes an issue, but with D&D Attack Wing, I feel like, especially with Out of Space being a board gaming type group, it's easier when one person can generally pick up the games and the units and bring enough for everyone to play. I think the investment into something like X-Wing Miniatures would be a completely different level considering the dogfight nature, but also the multitude of ships involved. Now obviously they've done a really good job with X-Wings in terms of miniature quality, and I feel like D&D Attack Wing has really stepped its game up from Star Trek Attack Wing. The dragons here are large, powerful, and they just have a different type of board presence, especially when compared to troop models, which we'll see in later gameplay videos and everything. But enough talking. I'm sure what brought you here is to actually see the unboxing, so let's get into it. So right now I'm just taking off the plastic. Here we'll try to get a closer shot of the actual dragons and stuff. It's quite a heavy box. Here we'll take a look at the back. The back of the box, you can see it comes with 3 dragons. We'll say the red, copper, and blue dragons. They have their own unique names and everything, but gives you a little bit of a description. It plays 2+ players, which is good. This is kind of a quick description of the actual play mechanics. You choose your movements. You use the included templates to, I guess, carry out those movements. And then finally, rolling dice and applying effects and abilities to do combat. Here's a breakdown of the game components that you will find inside. So, I guess let's get into it. I kind of like how it's packaged as like a lid that you can later replace. I'm not sure if it's meant to be a temporary storage solution for those who pick up the game, but I seem to like it. So here's a plastic insert holding all of the dragons. Get a little more light on there for you. They're all wired in, as you can see, so we'll spend some time getting that out. Alright, so after some work we finally managed to get this red guy out. You can see, beautifully detailed. Hopefully my hands being in the shot gives you a sense for the scale and size. Nice paint job, lots of details in the face and the features. And some nice gradients, but again, beautiful sculpt. I think the dragons look really cool. They were originally created as the miniatures line to use in the D&D role-playing game, but they've basically taken those sculpts and applied a miniatures game mechanic to it. So the wings look kind of vertical. I know something you can do is basically use like boiling water and just soften them up so you can repose it. I think it'd look a little better if the wings were spread open. And there are other videos that kind of detail how that process goes. Down here you can see the place where you can put the post on its flight stand and everything like that. But let's get cracking with another dragon. Alright, so next up we have the blue dragon. He's a little smaller in scale, you can see, especially in wingspan. I'm not sure if he's more maneuverable or how that really works, but we'll find out as we play the gameplay. I'm glad that the dragons have their own unique personality. He's got smaller spikes, while the red one had more fins. More muscular too, as well. But again, you can see the details on the face and the horns, everything like that. I think WizKids has done a really good job in making sure this game kind of represents the dragons well, being the namesake and so iconic fantasy creature. Whether or not you're going to use it for Attack Wing or bring it into your own favorite universe or whatever, I think that it lends itself well. Just the detail and quality of the sculpts. But so these red and blue ones, these are, I guess, bad or evil factions. So we'll get to the good guy next. Alright, finally we have the Copper Dragon here. You can see, again, a different sculpt. It's one of the metallic ones, which puts it in the good guy faction. The wings are definitely noticeably different, with it being completely connected to the tail as it runs up the side. So altogether it's like this giant, massive set of wings, I guess. A little smaller. Again, the red one with its wingspan is just really imposing, but this one seems to still be large and in charge, definitely threatening on the field. I do wish they did a little more with the paint job. The blue one is at least two-toned, and the red one, probably has the most with the paint job. Maybe a wash, or just to bring out either highlights or even more of a copper color. It's quite almost gold in this paint iteration, but still 3 sculpts that look really fun to play, and I can't wait to get these, I guess, to the table. But let's look at what else is in the box. So next up in the box we have the rule book, which is good sized and thick. Details gameplay and examples of how things are happening, advanced rules, campaign, adventures. Oh, that's another point I should mention. Another reason why I wanted to pick it up was because it had this kind of campaign adventure built into it. So it's not something I've tried to before, but I think it'd be fun to give it a shot. And then the back page has a quick reference for different parts of the game. Also included is a quick start rulebook for those of you who want to just kind of jump into it, learn as you play type of thing without diving into the rules. I'm not sure if this is the better option, or if it skips over anything. I think I'd rather jump in with the full knowledge of the rule book, so I'm not sure we'll use this quick start at all, but it's not a bad thing that they've included it. Next up we have a whole bunch of counters on thick, sturdy cardboard. So these are kind of for the adventure, campaign, artifacts, things, objectives you can do. These represent time counters. Certain abilities and moves have a cooldown on them. This is to mark how soon or how long it takes before you can use that ability again. Here are kind of, if you've been afflicted by any conditions, positive or negative. Red ones are generally negative, while greens are buffs, so like shield here or having haste, versus being seared or having a slow breath. On the back is just a repeat, so it doesn't matter which way. Here we get into the templates and how the game actually works. Let's flip it right side. So you can see these are movement for straight on. If you choose to move 1, 2, 3, or 4, basically your unit starts at one place. You'll put the template down and you move your unit across. We'll have a gameplay video as well to detail everything. Here are tokens that you can use as your actions for the turn, either to charge, concentrate, target, or dodge shield markers. Some effects you use are continuous, as opposed to the time counters we saw on the earlier sheet. And here is the named red template. I don't want to say dial, but so Balagos, you see the name down here, and it gives you attack, defense, health, and shield down below. Also included are the, I guess, two connecting pieces that lay over its actual movement dial, so you have some sort of idea of what it's doing. It tells you the name. So here, it's the adult red dragon. And on the back here, you see its actual movement. So one side will cover up the other, and you'll be able to choose which movements you take. So again, these are all the straight-on movements you can make. On the back here, you see, instead of saying Balagos or the named version, you have just the generic adult red dragon. And the point cost is different as well. I did forget to mention up here is the level. Higher level monsters move last and attack first, so you can react to how other creatures have moved, and then attack first in hopes of hurting them first. On the back side of the shield, you can see if the shields have been sundered or broken. If they're useless, you flip it to that side to signify that change. So, next sheet we have for the blue dragon, Ashadra. Here's some other tokens we have not seen yet. Here is a critical hit. So as you take damage, you're going to be drawing from a deck. If it's a normal hit, it'll be face down. If it's a critical hit, it'll be face up, in which it'll have an additional effect. And this token is just placed on your character stand, or in the unit's character stand, as a reminder, so you don't forget about an effect before you try to do something. Here are other markers for initiative or being unable to attack. Sometimes your abilities or your cards get disabled. That's what these markers are for. And then you have the 45-degree movement, both 1, 2, and 3. And of course the dials and stuff like that. Pretty much the same stuff on the back. Next sheet we have the 90-degree turns. We have Galaderos, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but the named version of the adult copper dragon. Oh, and here are our tokens for, so when you choose movement, if you're flying, you start flying. If you're on the ground, you're on the ground. But if you are flying, you have the option to change your elevation. So here's a token for swooping. So when you swoop, you can use melee attacks to attack ground units and air units. Well, if you're on the ground, you can only use melee attacks to attack ground units, or whatever elevation you're on. So if you're flying, you can only use melee against flying. If you're on the ground, only against unit on the ground. You can always change your elevation. Sometimes it allows for strategic maneuvering, getting under or over other units, and what they can hit you with and what you can hit them with. These 3 tokens up here represent exhaustion. Some movement or abilities will exhaust your character. For instance, you can see on its dial here, if it does a 90-degree leftwards movement of 2, it's red, which signifies an exhaustion. And when you have an exhaustion token, you may not take any other actions the rest of the turn. So if you have 2 exhaustion tokens, you have to, basically, you must choose a green movement. So you can see some of the moves down here have a green arrow. Those are, I guess, easier moves to make. So flying ahead by 3 or 2 straight ahead. And performing one of these actions will clear an exhausted token from your character, freeing them up to do additional abilities. So, oh, I didn't mention yet, down here on the side are the abilities icons. So with all the various tokens, your character has the ability to choose one each turn in order to kind of be strategic. You can feint, target, concentrate, or dodge. Finally, we have the 4 movement template for the 45-degree turn, and some objective tokens with different numbers on them for the campaign. And we just lost one. But anyway, some interesting stuff. Gives you everything you need to play with these cardboard ones. And of course you can upgrade with plastic colored versions, also available from WizKids. Now getting into the rest of the box, here we are looking at some of the dice. You get 6 of each, 6 red, 6 green. For simplicity's sake, yeah, it's basically red for attack, green for dodging or defense. On the different faces, you'll have normal attacks, concentrate, critical hits, or blanks. So, depending on the stats of your characters, you will roll any number of these and apply the result. The green die, the dodge die, is very much the same, except for in place of normal or crit hits, you have dodge symbols. So each dodge symbol will cancel out a normal hit from, I guess, another character who has attacked you, unless they have penetrating or ignore defense for some reason. We have 2 decks of cards here. The larger one here are the character abilities, skills, and their actual stat cards. So here you can see the adult red dragon and its flight, movement, just to give you an idea if you're picking down the dial, or before you pick on the dial, what you can actually do with it. But you can see its normal attacks. It has both a forward and a backwards, and these are things that you can equip. So here are various abilities, shields, spells it can cast. Here's the generic version. Then we have stuff for the blue dragon and the copper as well. So a whole multitude of options for you in terms of what you can play, what you can do each turn, and how to, I guess, load out your character. Point costs are up here, as well as their affinity level and everything like that. We'll go more into detail with what the cards actually do when we shoot a gameplay video, and I teach the rest of the guys. You have your favorite silica gel that you shouldn't eat. So, not a bad little insert. It looks like it is designed to hold gameplay pieces. Hold your dice and cards like that in areas. They weren't fully utilized. But down at the bottom here, you see you have your range finder. You have a 1 through 4. When you're trying to calculate if something was within your range, one thing to note, if you're attacking at a range of 4, the defender always gets 1 extra defense dice. So, and then a straight ahead template for 6, or you can use it as a turnaround as well. So, the thing that we skipped here, just the bases for your various creature flight stands, and I guess the pivot connectors for your dials, your movement dials. So that's about it. So I'd like to thank you for watching our unboxing video for D&D Attack Wing. I can't wait to get to the table and try some battle with some dragons and some ground troops. So continue watching the channel for, gameplay recaps, tutorial on how to play, and other great videos and content. Check us out on our Facebook, Twitter, and podcast at Out of Space Games. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.